Hello and welcome to Kinsei-Do Corner. Have you ever wondered how to unlock your full potential and live your healthiest, most fulfilling life? Then this podcast is here to help you achieve just that. We dive deep into the world of health and performance, exploring how to move better, feel better, and live a healthier, more fulfilling life. I chat with inspiring coaches, athletes, health experts, and high performers from all walks of life to learn from their stories, mindsets, and lifestyle choices. Whether you're an experienced high performer or new to the world of health and well-being, I'm in your corner to guide you on the path to being the healthiest, happiest, and highest performing version of yourself. Let's go. Okay, hello there. Welcome back to Kinsei-Do Corner on episode 72 today. I'm joined by my colleague, friend, and also most recently now CrossFit competition teammate Randolph, and we'll be talking about a variety of training, functional fitness, CrossFit, Hyrox, all these kind of things. And why I'm excited about this particular conversation is because in the past, mostly I have had guests who have been significantly younger than me, significantly fitter than me, and perhaps in many ways it's for the regular listener perhaps a little bit intimidating listening to their stories. So today, obviously not taking anything away from Randolph's fitness and his journey, but I dare say he and I, we are more the mere mortals, and therefore it will be an interesting conversation and an interesting look under the hood of what it takes at our age and our constitution to be doing what we're doing. So first of all, welcome Randolph. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much, Johannes. Thanks for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Amazing. So I think first of all, I do want to say thank you to you for persuading or convincing me to join the Fitbuller Showdown in the first place, because I wasn't necessarily feeling so up for throwing down with the community in a 2-day competition. Still remembering how we took part in a 1-day competition just over a year or so ago, and how I felt really, exhausted and tired after that. And so the prospect of facing a 2-day competition was a bit daunting, but after it was done, I was so full of adrenaline and energy and new motivation that I must say thank you for making me do this, basically.
No, you're welcome, and I should say thank you for joining us. I mean, if you hadn't, then we wouldn't have been able to participate in the team of three. So thank you for joining us as well. And going back to talking about where we participated, I think maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, in a very similar sort of setup. That was just 1 day, and this was a 2-day sort of commitment. I felt, or I wanted us to basically go for it so we could sort of see where we are, where we were in terms of our fitness levels, what the progression was, had we improved. So, were we doing the sort of movements better? Did our endurance levels become better or whatever? So for all that, it was a sort of challenge to basically see where we all stood now after sort of training for a good, year and a half, 2 years maybe together. So that was the motivation to get you on board and sort of participate together as a team.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that, because I really enjoyed myself immensely and had a really good time, and just reconnecting to the community that obviously that has meant so much to me over the years, and that I've kind of lost touch with a bit, always just training at BSJ as we do. But it was an amazing experience. You touched on the last 1.5 to 2 years, and I think that's a good starting point, because if I am not mistaken, that was kind of the start of your CrossFit journey. I think, and I mean, you please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think about 2 years ago, I was in the gym at our school with a couple of colleagues, and we were basically doing CrossFit, so to say, and you just happened to stumble upon, and you were like, okay, what's going on here? What's this? Can I join? So basically your CrossFit journey is relatively young still, so to say, and for you to have come this far in this short time is amazing. But walk us through how it started for you, and maybe what did you do before CrossFit in terms of fitness and sports and being in shape.
Well, thanks for that. I think if I'm not mistaken, just like what you said, I think we met one evening in the BSJ gym, and I was probably just doing some workout of my own. And I remember you all sort of saying we were looking for people to start a CrossFit club or some sort of a training. And I just remember being interested and thinking to myself, what's this all about? And could I do it? Could I not? The workout sounded a whole lot more sort of intensive. And I was also a bit skeptical at that time, not sure whether I could sort of do it, you know? And yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I've sort of been on this journey now for about close to about a year and a half, 2 years. And yeah, in terms of progression, where I started and where I am now, I do feel there's a lot of sort of, improvement for my age group category, etc. Yeah, and I'm happy that you sort of pulled me out and got me on this sort of journey of CrossFit, you know. But yeah, to answer your question with regards to what did I do before CrossFit? Yeah, I mean during my school days, yes, I sort of participated in sport even at university level. I did do a lot of swimming, so I my background was swimming. I did play a lot of racquetball sports as well, so tennis, a bit of badminton here and there. I liked squash a lot. In fact, even when I came first to Indonesia, back in Country Woods, we got a group of people together that used to play squash pretty often or pretty regularly. I did used to go on cycle rides. I liked cycling before, but everything was sort of, how should I say, when you sort of get into something, you do it, but you don't complete it properly, or you sort of drop out of it like when you get busy or whatever. So that was sort of my fitness journey over the years in the past. I used to gym as well. I would go into gymming and drop out of it and then start again, and whatever you sort of gain in a short time I would lose and then go back to it again. So I think after I sort of joined CrossFit, this has probably been maybe my longest stint in fitness, so to say,
Mhm.
where I haven't sort of or I have stuck with it all through. And
Mm.
yeah, it's been a great journey for me. I've met a lot of people, like you said, the CrossFit community. I feel I have definitely improved in terms of movement standards, and performance and endurance has definitely improved. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, yeah, okay, amazing. I didn't actually know that much about your background story. Yeah, maybe we can go and play squash sometime.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
used to really enjoy that too in the past. But yeah, I do remember seeing you in one of our first sessions, and you did have you did already have a very strong foundation of strength, for lack of better word. So you were able to lift heavy weights with what looked like relative ease definitely compared to anyone else who I would say is a beginner. So it was apparent that this wasn't your first time in a gym, but I'm glad that you found kind of a methodology and a community. I guess shout out here to the Onyx community with Fabio, who's kind of, not to say taking you under his wing, but who's basically been very open and very welcoming. And you're not the only one from BSJ that has trained at Onyx or has started going to. So yeah, it's a great way of getting in touch more with the Indonesians in in Indonesia, which is something that is easily overlooked in our little expat bubble that we are in. So it's a great way for that, but it's also just incredibly good for your fitness, which your journey is the absolute proof of that. When you think of, let's say, how you felt initially starting CrossFit, obviously already at advanced age as we are, and also significantly, maybe I'm not going to say significantly less fit, but definitely compared to some of the people that are in this community, was there ever any feelings of I don't belong here, or maybe this is not the right thing for me, or was that just like never really anything, never on your mind, so to say?
No, I mean, I think like what you said, I mean, once you come to a certain age, that's when you realize that you probably couldn't do the same exercises that everybody or people half your age can do much more easily. I mean, I remember my first week, 10 days, I can't remember how much pain I went through getting sort of back into the rhythm of moving at that intensity in terms of movements and running around and sort of lifting up weights 20 times or whatever. So yeah, it takes a long time, I think, at our age for recovery. Recovery is probably the biggest thing where maybe if you hurt yourself or a particular muscle, it takes a lot longer to recover. So that's a bit of a struggle, I guess, once you become a master, as we
Hmm.
call it, whatever, 55, 50 plus or whatever. Yeah, recovery definitely is one thing. And I think the other big thing or the big hurdle at our age is mobility. Unless you're actually specifically training for mobility in terms of, I don't know, squatting or whatever movement that you're performing, there's so much sort of mobility that you've got to focus on to build yourself up to be able to do the same lifting in terms of weights. It's not just picking up a big dumbbell, it's picking it up and squatting down or an overhead snatch or whatever. And there's a lot of mobility that goes into it. And I think the older you get, the more you struggle with mobility and recovery. So those two for me have been the greatest sort of hurdles. Besides that, yeah, like you said, the weight part of it has been okay for me to lift a heavy weight, not a problem. But to pick up a heavy weight and maybe do it 15 reps or 20 reps and then run 200 meters and go back and do it again, that was
Yeah.
the hurdle for me. It still is, I mean, but it's
Yeah.
just become a bit more manageable.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I mean, that's. I would love for the listeners to, if nothing else, if they take this away, right? It doesn't matter what age you start. It doesn't matter what kind of starting point you come from, as long as you know and respect your limitations, or sorry, not limitations, your constraints, and you work towards improving and widening or reducing those constraints, you can make amazing progress, as you are the epitome of, or the best evidence of, and just make real, I mean, progress in the sport, but also progress in your health. I do remember seeing or looking at the photos of the first competition that we went to 19 months ago. I mean, you've definitely lost weight in comparison to back then. So yeah, all those positive changes have come because you've stuck with it, because you've respected what you can and cannot do. And it's, yeah, it's just so inspiring for me to see as well, because I'm older than most in the in this community, but still younger than you. So it motivates me to see what I can still also aim for and achieve as I keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think all of us, I mean, the minute you sort of set a target and you have a goal in mind to achieve something, whether it's a personal goal or a fitness goal or a professional goal, you sort of work towards it. And I think I mean, this is how I feel. I mean, at the end of the day, age is just a number. Yes, maybe you have to work a little bit more. Maybe you have to stretch out a bit more and, focus more on mobility, whatever. And yeah, if you do get hurt, then maybe recovery a bit more or whatever. But at the end of the day, I mean, age is just a number. So the minute you sort of say, okay, this is what I want to do, and give yourself the time, put in the hard work and dedication, I think you can achieve it. And yes, for me, CrossFit it's been very challenging. Yes, not to say that, but it's also shown me the results, which I didn't get from sort of just conventional gym sessions where you went in and picked up one dumbbell maybe 10 times and that was your entire workout. So for me, definitely strength, endurance, all that has definitely improved. For me at the same time, even in terms of the health benefits, touch wood, I feel quite healthy. I don't have any typical health problems that are associated with older people or people of my age. So yeah, I mean, for me, it has been great. And I mean, it is great. And I will continue as long as I can, in terms of CrossFit training.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. And actually, this is a nice segue, because obviously there's a new trend on the rise, which is Hyrox, which you also kind of gotten into. I'm not going to say because of me, but I think it is something that I mentioned. But by now you've got many races under your belt, and I'm still waiting for my first. So again, you've jumped on this with 100% commitment and energy, and you've already gone for a couple of races, and I'm looking forward to doing the Jakarta one with you next month as a doubles team. But how, maybe taking your CrossFit experience, your CrossFit, knowing how that's felt, how that journey has gone, and comparing that to how you felt starting a Hyrox, how you felt doing a Hyrox, because obviously, again, the Hyrox being a workout that is significantly longer than basically anything that we do in CrossFit. How's that been different? What maybe surprised you? What surprised you in terms of how difficult or challenging it was? And perhaps what surprised you in terms of, this isn't actually as difficult as I thought because I have this CrossFit foundation? Maybe, yeah, talk us through your journey from discovering Hyrox to now doing it for the third or fourth time. Is it fourth, I
With
think?
you now will be my fourth time, yeah. For me, when I sort of got into CrossFit and basically I saw the benefits of a CrossFit high intensity type of workout, that's when I started to sort of feel positive about myself and saying that, if I set myself a target, I could do it. I felt the health benefits and I just wanted to sort of keep doing more. When we started talking about Hyrox, and Hyrox became the next thing, like everybody was going into Hyrox. And last year, I think, yeah, no, not last year I turned 50, and I basically said, if I don't do it now, then I would never be able to probably participate in a Hyrox. So it was sort of putting two and two together and saying, look, I want to do it. Let's try it out. And for me, again, a challenge has always been running. So right from when I was younger, if I could avoid running, I wouldn't do it. So that's always been a big challenge for me. And now that we know how sort of running intensive Hyrox is, it was a challenge. And I said, okay, if I can run, then, I can do it. So it was like sort of CrossFit. And then the next thing was to get better at running. And then I did one CrossFit and I said, hey, you know what? I survived. So went ahead and did another one. And then from there, I said, okay, if I can do two, I'll do another one. And then, I did the third one in Melbourne. And that was where I sort of bit off a bit too much or a bit more than I can chew off. Signed up for the pro category because there was nothing else available. And I did that alone. The weights were much higher. And then sort of with the heavier weights and the running and everything sort of, came together, and it didn't quite go as I planned, but it was a learning journey. So I guess to answer your question about CrossFit and Hyrox, yes, Hyrox workouts do tend to be a bit shorter, but then again, it's a sudden burst of energy. It's more intensive, whereas Hyrox tends to be running at a steady pace and more endurance, but stretched out for a longer time. So it was kind of putting both together. It was sort of putting both together, toning down the intensity of a CrossFit and building up on the running of a Hyrox that sort of worked for me. So yeah, so looking forward to the next one that we do together and see how we can pace ourselves and, do it as best as we can.
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. I mean, I'm very much looking forward to it. I think perhaps this whole experience in the Fitbuller competition just the other week, if anything, has given me more motivation and more sense of fire that I want to just be part of something big like that. And obviously Hyrox being a global brand, I have high expectations of how the event itself will be managed and how it will be run, and I hope I won't be disappointed because obviously it's the first time that it's coming to Indonesia, so we don't know that there could be glitches, but I'm just really looking forward to experiencing all of what's around, and then having a good time for the, I'm going to say, hopefully hour and a half or less that we are that we're doing the actual event.
Absolutely. And I think if you said an hour and a half, I think that gives us enough time to sort of pace ourselves and enjoy it more than sort of trying to burn out and do as much as possible.
Yeah, totally. Perhaps given that Hyrox is such a craze and you've started both CrossFit and Hyrox relatively closely back to back and all within a relatively short time period of still under 2 years, and counting. Would you advise, especially let's say masters athletes, do you think CrossFit is the right training for Hyrox, or perhaps is it the other way around, given that the Hyrox movements are simpler and more, let's say, more predictable? Well, what's your kind of, if I was listening to this and had done neither, but I'm just sensing and seeing in the people around me, everyone's crazy about Hyrox, everyone wants to do this. How would you advise someone to tackle either Hyrox or CrossFit?
That's a very interesting question, Joe. I mean, having done both, see, CrossFit is definitely more intense in the sense you have a shorter burst of energy where you're not doing several reps or whatever it is. And sometimes with the higher intensity, that has several advantages in the sense it helps you build muscle, it helps you tone down your sort of body weight. So in terms of the high intensity, it definitely works. For me, with CrossFit, since there's so much technical lifting involved, if you suffer with mobility, then again, CrossFit sort of helps you with that because you have to sort of overcome your mobility issues to be able to lift more effectively, more properly for things like the snatches, things like the cleans, etc., etc. But again, with CrossFit also, you can start off with no mobility or bad mobility, and then eventually it progresses and becomes better. So that's one way of looking at it. Hyrox, on the other hand, like you said, the activities are, or the muscle movements or fitness movements rather, are pretty standard. They don't change. I don't think they are that sort of specific in terms of mobility. What are you looking at? You're looking at lunges, you're looking at wall balls, which are similar to sort of air squats, sled push, sled pull. So again, the movements are not as technical as CrossFit. But I think with Hyrox, the main thing or the main hurdle is the sort of endurance, being able to pace yourself and running. So if you come from a running background, yes, Hyrox works very well. In terms of movements or specific movements, I think maybe CrossFit has a bit more of an advantage where it hits sort of mobility as well as strength. So both of them have their sort of advantages. I know I've heard some people saying that they just can't do CrossFit because it's a bit too intense for them. and for them CrossFit or Hyrox works are a bit more paced in the sense it's not that strenuous. So I guess it really depends on the person, what do they like to do, what doesn't hit them too hard, and where they can sort of find themselves in terms of their pacing and things. So both could be good. Both could be good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Thank you for sharing that perspective on how it's seen, because yeah, it's easy to kind of just see the elite people do either, right, CrossFit or Hyrox, and you think, oh, this is how it's done, and then us normal people do it, and CrossFit, the movements don't look like that. Hyrox, the strategy doesn't work out like that, right? You're not doing sets of 20 or 30 wall balls. Instead, you're laboring through each one. It is something to kind of just keep in mind, that what you see online is maybe not how it will look or feel when you do it. Amazing though, amazing. I hope people take motivation and inspiration away from our conversation and from your journey. Maybe let's wrap it up and let the listener let us know what's next for you. Once we've done this Hyrox that's coming up in June, what's next on your plans? Do you want to do more competitions? Are you looking into doing more CrossFit, or just more Hyrox, or other? Just recently I heard of this other functional fitness race called Primal Race, which I don't know, maybe it comes to Jakarta as well, maybe it becomes as big as Hyrox. But what's next for you? What are
Well,
your next goals?
my next plan is to sort of be consistent, which has always been one of my sort of problems. When something is new, I get into it wholeheartedly, do it as best as I can, then eventually fall out of it. So for me, my big thing is consistency, to be able to manage sort of a working life as well as a training or a sport life, if that's what you want to call it. So yeah, I definitely, I'm looking forward to the Hyrox where in June that we perform together, and then maybe sort of do another one maybe towards the end of the year. So I'm doing probably two Hyrox events on a yearly basis. And I think one at the beginning, one at the end would be good. I definitely, now looking at Fitbuller, what we did last weekend, I definitely am thinking, and I would like to do it again next year. I know last year I did the CrossFit Open, so I might do that again next year. So it's about sort of, for me at least, my biggest goal is to be consistent in what I do, follow my training programs, focus on not getting injured. That's one big thing at our age. And yeah, definitely try and do at least one Hyrox at the beginning of the year, one towards the end. And if there are any other functional fitness, CrossFit type events, I'd continue doing it. Yeah, that's my plan more or less.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you. And yeah, hopefully we can continue to do Hyroxes and CrossFit competitions, at least locally. I'm not sure we'd be ready to travel overseas and get ourselves humbled even more. But yeah, no, it's a great goal. And of course, health underpins everything, right? So we have to stay injury free. We have to be able to train consistently to get the benefits also for life. And that's, in the end, that's what matters most. So thank you so much, Randall, for coming on today. It's been a real pleasure to chat with you and find out more about kind of what's been driving you these last 2 years. And yeah, I hope to train with you and to still compete with you in many more years to go. Thank
Likewise,
you.
Joe. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been lovely having a chat with you on this show. And yeah, look forward to meeting up again in the gym one day.
All right. See you Monday.
See
Bye
you
bye.
around. Take care. Bye bye.